Welcome to a long series of testing suspension for a new type of setup. So basically, the best experience I've ever had on any piece of suspension ever was this video a super long time ago on an EXT Arma. There's a link here if you want to go watch it. Basically, I got the shock and I had a 475 pound spring and no other springs to put on it. So I just rode it anyway because I wanted to test it out. And then, realizing the spring was too light, I locked the compression out and I was able to ride it. But it felt kind of dead. So I moved the rebound up and suddenly it was literally the best experience I had ever had on suspension, ever. And since that video and that day, I've never been able to recreate it. So in that video, I was on an Arma. And this is an EXT Storia, basically the exact same shock. And I was unable to replicate that experience. So I'm just like scratching my head, like how can I recreate that? Okay, so let's underspring it and close the compression. And the real secret here was I had moved the rebound to 8 out of 10 the first day. So I did underspring this, went out and rode it, and I was like, yeah, it's dead. And then I moved the rebound faster, and I was like, okay, I just got the experience. So we underspring it, close the compression, and then we use the rebound as like a compression control. So I'm going to test this on a whole bunch of shocks. This is the first of many. It'll be a long, slow video, so don't get all excited. And let me just reveal all the cards because I only want to help people. So the theory of it is, I'm uneducated suspension theorist here, is rebound pistons, like right here, I have taken apart, they really haven't changed that much. And all the effort goes into developing or advancing the compression damper. And basically rebound pistons have stayed the same, and they're a high friction item. So if we make the compression, high and low speed compression, as firm as possible, then we use the rebound piston, the old antiquated thing, and we try to open it up as much as we can. Open is faster. So it's open, faster, flowing more oil, then the shock feels better. Now this is 100% proven on multiple EXT coils. Like if you want to have an amazing EXT experience, that's how you're going to do it. Now I know I'm not the only one who knows this, because during the Push 11.6 video, I was reading their setup guides and I'm like, a 500 pound spring, 9 clicks of rebound, like what in the hell are they thinking at Push? And that shock's absolutely world class. So I'm not the only one who knows this. So basically, today, first of a many long series of tests, there's like 7 coil shocks I have to go do this on. We are going to do a reverse cowgirl setup on here. And then I'm going to take the temperature of the piggyback. So uneducated, actually I am educated. I'm YouTube certified. So the owner of EXT, Francis, he's no compromises, yeah. He makes the best suspension, yeah. Excellent Italian accent. I'm not making fun of him. I really enjoy it. So what he says, EXT, Francis, if I said it, Francis, whatever. EXT guy says, the more hot the damper gets, basically the piggyback where the compression is, the better it is, because that means the damper's working. So today I got the scientific experiment, basically some car tools. We're going to take the temperature of the piggyback on this boring test run. That does get shocks cooked up pretty fast. It's a nice little short test track. And basically then I'm going to go back to a normal style setup where you set sag with the compression open and then measure the damper, because basically the hotter we can get the damper, the better it's going to perform. And I know this from many shocks I've rode. Like the Olin's piggyback is literally cooking after a long descent. The piggybacks on EXTs get super hot. So let's test it out. Okay, this is run 23. We're calling this run 23. Alright guys, we're going to try reverse cowgirl on the Manitou Mezzer. I think it's going to work pretty good, but I don't know. So the reverse cowgirl is basically we're going to lock the compression off. It was almost locked off. I don't have enough. Alright, 4 clicks on the Mezzer. 4 clicks of high speed. So we locked it off. 8 clicks of low speed. We have it locked off. 1, 2. So we're going 8 out of 10. So we have matching. So there's matching compression and rebound. We have locked off high and low speed compression on the EXT Storia. Locked off compression on the Mezzer. 8 out of 10 rebound. I'm going to send it blind and see if it works. It works. You might have to go a little slower. Ah. Alright, it doesn't work for the Mezzer. Okay, we're going 1 click slower. So 7 out of 10 on Mezzer. It works phenomenal on the Storia. Oh! I lost a bunch of air. Okay, run 23 conclusion. We had locked off on Mezzer. Locked off compression. And I ended up with 7 out of 10 rebound. So basically I was able to get my rebound 2 clicks faster. So with mid compression on the Mezzer, I was able to get it 6 out of 10 on rebound. With the compression locked off, was able to get it to 7 out of 10. But unfortunately, my tire lost a bunch of air, and I almost crashed literally a couple times. So that's it for today. Just so you know, I usually run about 30 PSI in my tires. So I was at 15 and 18. So the main lesson from the Mezzer for the reverse cowgirl, we need to know what we have. Hopefully I can zoom in and you can see that. We need to know what we have. Like, clicks are not important. We need to look at the range. For an example of that, the Öhlins TTX coil shock and the Mezzer have like identical clicks, but the TTX has a massive range in compression and the Mezzer has a small range. So we just need to know what kind of range we're working with. So now I have the Mezzer, small range of compression, massive range in rebound. So I may not need to ride the Mezzer in the full wide open rebound setting, in the fastest rebound setting, because we have a massive range. Like, the needle's already going to be wide open, probably at 8 clicks. EXT off my bike, it's always a sad day because it rides so good. But the goal is to build the best setup system. So today we'll be on the Cane Creek Kitsuma. Trying to get to the Tygon. Got the Tygon finally. But got to get this one over with first. So with a closed compression and a wide open rebound, we're going to do the test. Holy crap. So unfortunately, couldn't ride the Cane Creek Kitsuma because it was the wrong stroke length. But I had the Super Deluxe lined up, and you know, it's a mid-level performing suspension. I'm pretty impressed. Like, within 5 runs, I had that thing set up good. So now it's time to do a little bit of experimenting on the Super Deluxe. So basically, we're going to try a reverse cowgirl. We're going to lock the compression out and see how fast we can get the rebound and see if the performance moves up. Now my guess here is it's not going to work I think you're going to need a little more sophisticated damping, but I am going to give it a shot here. And as for the Mezzer, I've been playing around with the air pressure, and the air pressure inside of the sticker on the back of the leg is like so money. I'm just going to go back to that, and we're going to rerun it with full tires and see if basically that was the problem. Okay, this is run 100, reverse cowgirl, super deluxe, Mezzer back to recommended air pressure. Oh yeah, Mezzer's back. So it definitely kills the small bump sensitivity on the super deluxe going reverse cowgirl, but I am fully able to run this higher speed. So reverse cowgirl on super deluxe works, but you can't underspring it because the damper isn't quite as sophisticated. And it does come with a compromise. You know what? It really doesn't. So I'm 12 clicks a rebound. That's crazy. But like I told you, it may be damaging the shock, it's unproven. So let's go behind the scenes for the Super Deluxe and the Mezzer. And I built this chart up, so let me get the camera. This is the normal guy setup. Basically, to cover this, go out, ride the bike, walk the rebound forward. I got to about 7 out of 10 before it felt kind of out of control. Normally, you add some compression to make it feel good, maybe some high-speed compression for bottom-out control, just a touch, salt and pepper of compression in. Overall, for the normal guy setup on the Super Deluxe, I give it 6 out of 10 for the big picture. If you want to know what 10 out of 10 is, it's EXT Estoria. So later in the day, doing the reverse cowgirl experiment, I just basically added in 100% of the compression, slowly started walking the rebound forward, and I got to 11 out of 10. So basically, the performance of the shock did increase. I would rate it a 7 out of 10 in the reverse cowgirl. It wasn't like a day and night difference like the EXT, because the damping on the Super Deluxe isn't like super sophisticated. And I was unable to underspring it, or I didn't need to underspring the Super Deluxe by adding in all that compression because of the simple damper. So that's why I'm taking a long time to make this video. Essentially the same setup on the Mezzer. I went out with the compression wide open, got the rebound to 5 out of 10. So the Mezzer is a little bit of a unique fork because we only have 10 clicks of rebound, but the range of it is just as big as the RockShox with 20 clicks over here. And the Mezzer is a truly incredible fork. Like, that air spring is on another planet. So overall, I'm giving this 5-year-old fork 7.5 out of 10. If you're wondering why it's so low, it's not. It's kind of fidgety at high speed, so you got to take some points off of it. But once again, going out for the reverse cowgirl, 100% compression. I did get the rebound up quite a bit, 2 clicks. When I say 2 clicks, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it has that big range like I told you. What held the Mezzer back is we have a limited range in compression, so I couldn't get the rebound very far forward because basically the compression's not super firm when you turn it all the way on. And overall, the performance is always increasing. The fork, reverse cowgirl, is a work in progress. It doesn't look like it's going to need to be underspringing forks like the Mezzer. The Mezzer is a plush bucket. I'm going to try the reverse cowgirl on a super progressive fork, the Super Z, and this one will probably need to be underspring. So it's all shock dependent. But essentially by these experiments, I am getting more performance from a faster rebound. So the compression is vitally important. And I used to run shocks in a wide open compression like all the time. One thing to note about the Super Deluxe, because of the absolutely massive range in compression, adding in 100% of the compression definitely kind of choked the shock up. So the reverse cowgirl, it's debatable about improved performance. Like, I think it was better, but what you can learn from this is basically the more basic the damper, the less overall performance gains you're gonna get from doing this. All the setup videos I do are basically on this like short little test track of high speed blue flow trails. And I always find that you get the perfect setup there. But at least once a week or once in a while, I like to go out and test the suspension theory somewhere else. So way up in the high country alpine, ready to go. And I forgot my shoes, so we're gonna be in trainers on top of the clips. Sometimes you just gotta make lemonade out of lemons. So I was super stoked to get rid of that Super Deluxe because that shock is a little bit disappointing. So essentially I've already proven that reverse cowgirl works excellent on the DVO. This is the new DVO Jade X Prime. So I've basically locked the compression out. I could get the rebound to full fast. It's excellent so far, but all the testing I did was on a progressive coil. And I honestly do not like progressive coils very much. They're like a necessary band-aid. They're weird. Like, they're not bad. I just personally don't like them. So first run in the trainers on the clip pedals, I'm going to go reverse cowgirl and we're going to see how it works with the normal spring on some fresh terrain. It feels like dangerously soft because I'm going so slow. I am so impressed with it. Okay, we're going to try to refilm it. Hopefully it films it. Okay, this will be Mezzer in normal, not fast motion. Okay, the Mezzer in reverse cowgirl literally just floats over the chunk. As for the DVO in reverse cowgirl, I have a new theory. I forgot the temperature sensor, but what basically happens is when we lock the compression out, the piggyback is literally cooking. And no other part on the shock is hot. I forgot the temperature sensor. It's a little bit hot inside here where the rebound piston is, but we're forcing the damper to do more work. That's the theory. Got to prove it practically, but definitely 100% proven on the Mezzer. DVO, I feel like I'm using all the travel, so I actually have some tools. This little sag indicator O-ring thing, I can bolt on there to see how much travel I'm using. It feels dangerously bottoming out. The shock's kind of reacting oddly to it. It was okay on those blue flow trails, but now it just kind of going through all the travel. It may need a progressive spring for it to work. We're going to go back to the normal setup. So what's happening is it's getting deflected off the line. instead of floating over the chunk. In this like super chunk root stuff, the faster rebound kind of floats over the rocks. So I think I'm fully done with the Mezzer. We'll start on the Super Z and the DVO. But wow, that Dorado air spring is no hype. It is. So the DVO's performance is better, but it just feels slightly kind of dangerous or something. Like it's just using so much travel. So we're going to try the DVO on that section with the normal guy rebound and compression. So we're going to test it out. Regular guy stuff. DVO Jade. I wish I can talk to them about it. So it feels like it's a linear coil. I think it actually did better with the progressive spring. But man, the bladder inside the piggyback, like once you try a shock like that, it's like EXT, Olin's, DVO, Formula has it. It's just incredible. Like it's just so sensitive. And I don't think the performance was better with the reverse cowgirl, but it wasn't worse. But what it did do is it simplified the adjusting. So basically with the locked off compression, I'm just back there twisting the rebound knob. So if anything, you may not get better performance from a mid to upper level suspension, but you will get a more simple setup. So that is a really good thing because a lot of people, including myself, can struggle with complex shock adjustments. I'm back on the tuning bench and back with the notebook. Basically hit peak performance on the Jade X and it was absolutely incredible. So locked out high speed compression, locked out low speed compression, like 15 out of 20 rebound clicks, and that shock is breathing, moving, absolutely excellent. You know, it does lack small bump sensitivity, but the performance of it in normal riding is pretty impressive. Like it is like almost up to EXT level except for one major issue. So with the reverse cowgirl setup, basically, and a progressive spring, there's not enough bottom out control. So I'd have to send the shock out or have it retuned for like a heavier high speed compression shim stack. And I'm basically just not in the business of building my dream bike at this moment. It's kind of like get through as many dampers as I physically can to like gain the education level. But super impressive, just kind of too linear of a shock for this bike, even with the 650 pound progressive spring. So almost to the Tygon, but got to get through an X2. But let's move on to forks. So I have the Super Z on the fork, or the Super Z on the bike. And I'm super curious to try the reverse cowgirl because I have the compression in the wide open setting. So it's kind of an evolving theory. So the only purpose of compression now to me is to get the rebound faster. And I have super high hopes on that fork because the new Grip X damper was absolutely incredible inside the old 38. Sorry for the sirens, we're not at the most exotic mountain biking destination, but it's the most excellent tuning situation because I can just basically safely repeat this trail over and over and over and make adjustments to it. So I have the rebound 7. Let's go check the rebound on the Super Z. I still like to flip the bike upside down. It just helps me understand where everything is. So I only had 4 total clicks of rebound on this fork, and it's riding. So I counted the clicks on the Super Z. I think it's super important to know where we are. So this is where I was. It has 16 clicks of rebound, and both high and low both have 14, which is pretty awesome because that way I can just turn them exactly the same number of clicks. So now we have the rebound. We're going to try rebound in the middle. Rebound middle. Compression middle. So super good. It works amazing. Okay, so with the faster rebound needle, run 1, it was absolutely amazing. Oh, the irony of this is I had the rebound in the fully fast setting on that run. That's why it felt so good. Oh my God. It was already in the fastest setting. So run 2 wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Maybe it was like over compression. So the rebound piston is the master. We think about a clutch, we have a pedal, you are the pedal, we have the master and the slave. The slave serves the master. So the master control is the rebound. On the first run, I had the rebound in the full fast setting on accident. It was supposed to be in the middle. So basically I'm going to put the compression back to the middle like run 1 and do a full run through and see if it's a little bit bucky or not. So we've already served the master, the rebound. We're going to do a full run through that setting. I mean, look how plush this thing is. It's incredible. So on run 3, we have middle compression because that seems to be the money number. 2 clicks slower on the rebound, even though it was really good. Fine tuning. Oh yeah! It's crazy, like dialing the compression and then basically use the rebound to adjust the feel. Don't get all nerdy on it. The results of the Super Z were utterly amazing. It went from a progressive free ride fork to a buttery smooth high performance fork. Now, in my humble opinion, it went from an 8 up to like a 9. So I put it on the board so we can make sure I remember this and you can check it out too. So the normal guy setup. I was running the Super Z with a wide open compression, 4 out of 16 rebounds, and I thought it was a great fork. Like, it jumps good, it's progressive. It's a little chattery on rocky trails, but hey, you can't have everything, can you? Well, actually you can. So move the Super Z into the reverse cowgirl, RCG. Oh, by the way, the Super Z is very like the Zeb. So I'm guessing the results are going to be almost identical if you have a Zeb. I'm working on getting a Charger 3 Zeb. So basically, I ended up with a middle compression, and I came up with 2 new theories for suspension setup. I'll start with the first one because it's not as important, and then I'll redraw this for the next theory. So rebound. We have a clutch theory. If you understand how a clutch works on a car, it has a pedal, a master cylinder, and a slave cylinder. So the rebound, if you don't understand clutch theory, you got to go look it up because I don't want to explain it. So the rebound is like the master cylinder. It is the boss. The compression is the slave cylinder. The only thing the slave cylinder does is it services the master cylinder. So on to the next theory. So the goal of this video is to build this like advanced suspension setup that is super easy and anyone can understand. So what I got to do here is borrow an experience or some knowledge from some suspension I rode before. Let me show you the chart. As soon as this fucking thing will focus. So this is the Öhlins TTX coil shock. It has a 3-position high-speed compression lever. It's super simple. It is super high performing. So if we have 100% performance, that's EXT, but it took a lot of work to kind of figure it out. You know, with the reverse cowgirl, EXT would be on another planet within minutes, but not having this information, setting up an EXT could be a little bit difficult. So the 3-position high-speed compression lever taught me for the reverse cowgirl, basically we're going to adjust low and high-speed compression together regardless of the clicks. So it worked super good that the Super Z had 14 clicks of low and 14 clicks of high-speed compression. But if we grab another fork, this is like an original grip 2. I'm going to test it on this fork. This one has like 14 clicks. So basically it's kind of funny. The new 2025 Fox dampers went back to the original grip range with a massive range in high-speed compression. But let's just say I have a Fox 38 grip 2. It has 8 clicks of high-speed compression, 16 clicks. So we're just going to move them together regardless of the clicks. And then we're really going to borrow from Öhlins here. We're going to look at the rebound and the compression as 3 settings: off, middle, full. So on the Super Z, I was a middle compression, both high and low, and I was a full fast rebound. So by the end of this behind the scenes video I'll make this like perfectly little polished video of a perfect system for anyone to get high performance from this. But we just need to simplify it, like doing this like low speed movements, high speed movements. No, we got to go 3 position on everything. Now, you know, I'm kind of a tuner guy, so I did go 2 clicks back on the rebound for the Super Z, but I was definitely in the full area of rebound. And definitely the middle area for compression. When I say full, that's going to be fully fast, needle wide open on the rebound for the Super Z. So I have a super interesting project here. Obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but all my videos are basically self-funded, and I have a good friend who lets me borrow a lot of stuff. So this is a Fox DHX2 coil shock. Probably the most notorious. Let me go get some gloves. I'm so sick of being covered in suspension oil. So this is a Fox DHX coil shock. Uh-oh. Gotta remember how this goes. So a normal shock or fork, it has 1 rebound piston. So remember, this is the master cylinder, and this is the compression assembly, so this is the slave cylinder. It's going to be a really interesting experiment on the DHX2 because this has 2 sets of pistons for everything. So this is a rebound piston, and there's another rebound piston behind there, but I don't have the tool to take it out. So let's focus on the compression. So this is a compression piston in a Fox Float X2 or a DHX. But it also has another piston. So how's reverse cowgirl going to work with 2 compression pistons and 2 rebound pistons? And I'm not sure, but I think this is going to work good because if you don't know what this is, it's the twin tube. So basically the oil So when the rebound piston's moving up, it has 2 paths to flow, like a tiny little area, so it can do some fancy circling stuff in here. I'm super curious how this is gonna work, but there is one massive problem. Obviously, all my bikes are Specialized, and they're not exactly coil friendly. And this is the weakest coil shock ever made. It has a 9.5 millimeter steel stanchion, but that's really not the weakness of this because the Öhlins TTX coil has a 10 millimeter stanchion. So the weakness of this is right here. So tomorrow in my free time, I'm gonna try to go out on the DVO Topaz. Now this Topaz is the Generation 3. Anyway, this one has high and low speed compression. And I've been on a coil shock tirade because I'm basically on a mission to ride every single coil shock on the market and then compilation all the videos together and make one solid video. But we got the Topaz here with high and low speed compression, so I'm super curious how the reverse cowgirl is going to react to an air can setup. And as we experienced on the Jade X Prime, the high and low speed compression works pretty darn good. Now the shock was a little disappointing because I need a high speed compression retune, like it's kind of getting to the bottom of travel so quickly. But it was one of my favorite shocks ever because you can just kind of like pop and play. So I'm positive this is going to work great, but we have to see because it's an air shock. All these setup videos for shocks have been on coils so far. I'm going to go pull the DVO Jade X off because basically done with that one for now. Bolt in the Topaz Prime and hopefully dial it in for air shocks too. So this is going to be every single shock on the market except for like Float X because it only has low speed compression. But there's a possibility it's going to work on a sweeper adjust grip 1. Okay, results of the reverse components, my unfiltered opinion. Well, if they had made a freaking instruction manual, it's an awesome device. So all you have to do is calibrate the upper tube by loosening these bolts and setting it to 65 sag. I couldn't figure that out because I couldn't find in the directions or I didn't read them right. But it's a pretty cool tool if you're kind of a suspension nerdy guy. So with it off to the side of you, I did rub my leg on it a few times, but pretty awesome resource for setting sag and knowing if you're bottoming out or not. For reverse cowgirl, how should I set this up? So we have a small range and rebound. Okay, so this is really going to help for the polished video. So we go ride it as a normal shock and we take note, we test it in the full setting. So the DVO has a small range and rebound and has a decent range and compression. So I'm safe to go full fast on the rebound and we'll go full lockout on both compressions. But it's kind of interesting on this one because I've already ran it in the full fast setting. So I'll probably not have to go full lockout compression. But remember, we have 3 settings. Because even me as like suspension guy who likes to tune stuff, like I get lost, I get confused, I get frustrated. So back to the principles of off, middle, and full. So rebound will be full. Compression, we're just going to start in full. But if it doesn't feel good, within the first 20 feet, I'm just going to pull it back here and go back to middle. So simple, simple, simple. Okay, remember, if it doesn't work in the first 30 feet, we're going to go to middle compression. Oh! It feels so good. So we'll do a full run through. So the Topaz Prime has a pretty massive range in compression. Like, I'm unable to get through the travel even when I'm clapping the bike. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to middle compression, even though the clicks aren't the same. So half of 5, there's 5 clicks of low speed, so half of 5 will go 2 back. 1, 2. And then high speed compression has about 10, so we'll go 5 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, quick run. If it doesn't work in the first little bunny hop, then I pull over and slow the rebound down. Or no, if I slow the rebound down, it acts like compression. We're already on full fast rebound, and it's pretty good, but we're trying to dial it in easily. Oh yeah. There it is. So let's talk about it. The first air shock with reverse cowgirl went excellent. Very pleased. I can't wait to do this on like an X2, you know, the mainstream shocks that everyone has, to prove that it works. Now, instead of looking at my face and explaining it, let's look at the chart. The first air shock with reverse cowgirl. So I was filming the DVO Topaz video, and I ended up with 5 out of 10 rebound, 2 clicks of high-speed compression, and it was honestly frustrating. Like, that's why people hate suspension, and that's why people love RockShox, because it's not as frustrating. So after I was done, got a couple clips for the video, properly display the shock, how everyone's gonna ride it, we turned into reverse cowgirl. And my system is becoming very easy. So like super rapidly am I able to set the shock up. So when you're in the garage or wherever you're at in the trail, parking lot, whatever, your new bike, turn the rebound full fast, set the sag. Then remember, this is the compression. Our compression, we don't look at low and high speed compression. We only look at them as off, mid, and full. So we go full fast rebound, full on compression. We do 1 root jump, 1 simple root jump. If it feels like something's wrong, immediately turn around, put it to mid compression, hit the root jump. If something feels off, immediately turn the compression off, hit the root jump. The same root jump. Like literally 1 jump, you can tell if it's gonna work or not. So I ended up with a mid compression, and I was super satisfied. Like the performance of the shock greatly increased. And after that run, the full run through with the mid compression and the full fast rebound, I slowly started turning the rebound slower. So at the very end, once we found our compression, did a little test run, then we start tuning off just the 1 rebound knob. So the rebound knob's working like compression. Like the slower it goes, the more compression it's adding. So I needed a little more compression, so I slowed the rebound needle down. And the difference between this and that, this was fun and fast and higher performing. This was slow, frustrating, and didn't work as good. So very pleased with the setup. So I forgot to add one thing. So say you have a new shock, like the Topaz is kind of a fresh shock. I've spent a bunch of time on it, but I couldn't really remember. But it's a good idea to test. Basically, we go back to range of, like, don't look at the clicks, how many clickers it has, like that's for the marketing guy. We need to look at the range. So for an example, the Topaz has a small range in rebound and a massive range in compression. Like, throw the clicks out the window and realize what you have. So I'm on the Super Z with the reverse cowgirl, and the Super Z is basically the same as this. Massive range in compression, small range and rebound. Going back to the Mezzer is the opposite. It has a small compression and a huge rebound range. So we need to know what range we have. But with this system of off, mid, and full, I think it's going to be money. So what should I do tomorrow? Basically set the Tygon up, kind of done filming the Tygon normal guy setup. So I found it best with 50% everything on. It was kind of dead and slow with a slower rebound. Interestingly, the ramp up tube doesn't give me enough bottom out control. I had to go to full fast or full on high speed compression. So I'm middle everything, full high speed compression, just to gain the right bottom out control. So I'm gonna try reverse cowgirl on here. So I'm practicing, and this isn't like an entertaining informational video, this is like my practice video. So I rode the Tygon, and we have a basically middle of the road everything, like middle of the road compression range, middle of the road rebound range, but we do have the additional ramp up tube doodah for the bottom out control. So with a middle range product, this is the first time I've had a middle range in rebound and compression. I'm just going to go to full fast rebound, full locked out compression, and see how it goes. And I've also got the Fox 38 on the front, but we're going to do one at a time practice video. So first on the Tygon, let's do it. Okay, I double checked. We have a full fast rebound and a full on compression. I'm just curious how it's going to react sag wise to all that compression and open rebound. So it brings it up to, it's interesting, with full on compression, wide open rebound, I'm perfectly at 30% sag or 45 millimeter or 20 millimeters, perfect 20 millimeters of sag. Oh, you hear that coil spring? So the spring is shaving off the piggyback because it doesn't fit. Anyway, we're going to test reverse cowgirl on the shock. The Tygon is 100% concept proven for the reverse cowgirl. I literally have been trying to set that thing up for 2 days as a normal guy. Did reverse cowgirl, full on compression, full on rebound, full fast rebound, and the shock was riding the best it's ever run, which is absolutely impressive. So basically I learned something from every video. The range. So we have a mid, not a huge range of compression, just a middle range. Like it's not huge, it's not small. The rebound is the same. So basically lock it out, the thing was done. So now, once you get reverse cowgirl on the shock, the fork feels out of place. And the Tygon setup has been absolutely challenging. That is the best my 38's ever felt. Full fast rebound, full on compression. So once again, we had a mid-range, a mid sweeper adjust. On the new Fox dampers, we have a larger range in compression. I'll have to go look at the notebook. But wow, there it is. Advanced setup made easy. Now this doesn't help the spring curve. You'll have to dial in your spring curve. But wow, it's incredible. Very close. I gotta get my monitor, hold on. Make sure I can see it zoomed in because there's no camera guy. So I'm getting very close to making the final setup video. The concept is basically proven. I've done it on enough dampers, but every single shock I learned something new. So I just did the Tygon and the DVO Topaz. So reverse cowgirl on an air shock is actually really easy because we can easily adjust the spring curve. But coil shocks do make this a little more difficult. Let's jump into the chart. I basically just dumped my brain on the whiteboard, so it's got more information than my face. Okay, got the monitor, so now I can see what's going on. Try not to repeat myself too many times. So reverse cowgirl is a proven concept. And what I basically learned in the last couple days is it measures how good the damper is. So the better it rides after you do reverse cowgirl, you'll learn how good the damper is. Like, marketing aside, how well is it controlling the oil flow? So let's start with the Tygon. So the Tygon has mid, rebound, and compression range. In all my frustration, I just went full compression, full fast rebound. It was literally the best run after I'd spent like 2 or 3 days setting it up. So the results from measuring the damper with the reverse cowgirl, the Tygon has a primitive damper. It is like RockShox level. It's not the best, but the reverse cowgirl made setting it up super easy. The improvement was slight, but it did make setting it up super easy. So like I told you, I've realized that reverse cowgirl is now a measure of the damper. Another thing, this is why I'm taking so long to make this video, it can screw up the spring rate. You may need to go to a progressive coil spring. And here's all the options that can basically happen. So you may need to underspring it. If you do this on EXT, you have to underspring it. You may need to overspring it. I just crossed it out. The DVO JDX Prime needed to be overspringed and a progressive spring. That shock was really good. I just needed a bigger spring, but I couldn't ride it for too long. You know, it was demonstration purposes only because they don't approve it on yoke bikes. And the last option is on the Tygon. Because of its primitive damping, basically nothing needed to be done to the spring. It was fine. It has that like ramp up tube. Okay, so I got my Fox 38 back. I was trying to get my friend to borrow it because he hates Fox and he basically wouldn't put it on his bike. So Fox 38 is a hard shock to set up. The Tygon, Cane Creek products are a fucking nightmare. Fox 38 is hard. So here's my normal setup. 5 clicks of high, 5 clicks of low, about a mid rebound. So let's look at the range on the Fox 38 Grip 2 damper. It has about a mid range, like it's not a huge range in compression. It's not a huge range in rebound. It's kind of a smaller range. We're not looking at the clicks, remember. So if you have a new Fox 38, this is the Grip X damper. In the Super Z, it has a massive range in compression. So in reverse cowgirl setup, I'd have to go look at my notes, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm mid compression on the new Fox dampers, but this is the old Grip 2 damper with a smaller range. So I went full fast, full compression, full fast rebound, and it definitely rode better on the Fox 38. Like 10, 15, 20% better. So going back to our flow chart, how good is the damper? So the Grip 2 damper has good damping. It's not like EXT level, but it is good. So I'm super stoked they're making progress on this. Okay, we're back on the bench. So the trick to setup is basically it's hard to stop riding. You got to remember you're not riding, you're tuning. So this Fox 36 is quite the piece of junk. Essentially forgetting the principles of this video,